story she's going to tell first.
Okay, you go right ahead.
Ask you a couple of little quick
Why don't you
questions.
tell us your name first?
My name is Pebbles Clark.
Okay.
I wanted to be a children's book writer after going to GED, and the teachers thought that I could be a children's book writer, so I'm trying to learn how to be a children's book writer.
Great.
The story is about a native little boy and a white little boy, and they were going fishing. And
Hold on one second. We're going to let him go by.
Oh, okay.
It's a good idea.
You want to start over?
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
I can't avoid that one completely.
That's just a little obnoxious.
Yeah, let's begin. Well, you don't need to start over with your name. I've got that.
Okay.
But you might want to start over with...
Okay.
Just tell us the title of the story and then...
Okay. The title of the story is A Fisherman's Song. It's about a native little boy and a white little boy and a girl coming between them and getting them to be friends. And the story started out by a clear sunny stream. One day as I was walking beside a clear sunny stream, I spied a trout so dashing, an arrow he did seem. I looked into the water so crystal clear I thought, my trout is free forever and my trout cannot be caught. The fisherman was no sportsman, he made a scheme. He made the water muddy and he cast it into the stream. But when he reeled his line in, he caught my fish and pulled him out. My heart was filled with sorrow at how he tricked the trout.
That's good. That was really good.
Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you very
welcome.
much. Pebbles. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm trying to become a children's book
You
writer.
did great. I thought you did terrific.
But
Yeah.
a lot of people say when you're disabled you can't.
That, you had been told when you lived in Ignacio that as a disabled person you wouldn't be able to be a book writer, and so now you're living here in Cortez and you felt that that was being embraced a little more?
Yeah, I figured that if someone can't tell you to do it, I might as well go out and try.
Sure.
Even though someone telling me I can't because I have a disability doesn't mean you can't do that.
No.
And that's something that is happening for you here in Cortez? You're getting
Yeah.
some response? And how is that working for you?
I'm going to GED here in Cortez, and the teachers, they asked me to write a short story in 15 minutes, and I did the Fisherman's Song, and everybody in the school started crying when they asked me to read it to them. I even have students crying because they love that story. They're like, I want to make a movie on this. And then I'm like, you can't make a movie. It's not even published, and I don't know how to publish, so I'm going to learn how, maybe, I hope. But I can't get into college because of my grade level, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Great. Okay. I think that pretty much covers it.
Sunburned all of a sudden. Am I blushing?
You look fine.
Just kidding.
Okay, I'm rolling, so anytime, if you want to ask her questions, why don't you stand right here? So she's sort of looking at the camera, not exactly into the camera.
All right, Cindy, can you tell us how you came to live in Cortez, or why you are actually here? I came to live in Cortez after I lived in Breckenridge for 6 years, and I got tired of living in the high country where I couldn't grow a garden and I couldn't buy a house because it was too expensive. And we came to the Four Corners area and visited in Durango for a little while and came over here and looked at the price of property and homes.
I think you're right. I think I'm picking up more of the generator here.
Yeah, okay.
It's bouncing back. Should have listened to you.
You brave soul. I figured I don't want to waste his time.
No,
so
I know.
We should just be interviewing each other.
We should get Greg to do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do I need to give my name? Is that something that we want to try to capture?
If you're willing to give it.
I mean, it's a way of saying I'm releasing myself to be videotaped. And then I don't have to sign a waiver, right?
Okay, anytime.
Okay. All right. Well, my name's Cindy Houston. I live in Lewis, Colorado, which is about 12 miles north of Cortez.
And how did you come to live here?
I came to live in Cortez after living in Breckenridge for 6 years. Got tired of living in the high country. Couldn't grow a garden and couldn't buy a house because it was too expensive. So we came to Durango and started looking in the Montezuma County Cortez area, and liked the price of land and homes, and decided that we would stay here.
Can you tell us what it is about Cortez that makes you feel connected to this community?
Wow, okay. Well, I love how welcoming Cortez has been. Like, I haven't really felt judged about who I am or what I do. I was able to find a job really easy. I kind of created it, which I think is really cool about Cortez and Montezuma County, is it's really like an entrepreneur's dream. If you have an idea of something that you'd like to do, this is a great place to try to figure out if you can do it or not. So I started my own business, and it was really embraced here. I love the parks. I love the diversity of the community. I love how close you are to the mountains and to the desert. Within a short drive, you can be in either place. So those are a couple of things that really keep me connected to this area.
So you said you love the parks. Can you give more details on that? What about the parks you love?
Oh, I just love how open it is and how green. The trees are nice and big. My kid loves to come here and play. The actual park, the park structures are inviting for the kids, for the children. It's a great place to meet people. When my child was really little, we would come to the parks and play, and she's an only child, so meeting other children was always really important. And so we met a lot of really unique families, and some lifelong friends that she's had we've met in the parks here.
Okay, so tell us something about Cortez. Maybe something that happened to you, or something that happens here regularly, that reflects what is great or what you love about this community.
Well, again, I'd stress just being able to start my own business, and how simple that was, and how well that was embraced by the community. And I'd have to say, it's not really an event, but one of the things that has me really excited is the fact that there's a local community radio station, and that radio station is now located right downtown, where they can look out their windows and see everything that's happening in downtown Cortez. Which actually leads me to another thought that I had, where the office that I work out of now is the second floor of the Wilson Building, and I'm good friends with Chuck and MB McAfee. They're neighbors of ours out in Lewis, and MB was sharing a story with me about when she was young and a child. Her dad had an office on the second floor of the Wilson Building, and how they would sit in the windows up there and watch the parade of lights, which still goes on today. And I remember last winter for the Parade of Lights, we were all up in our second floor office building of the Wilson Building, looking out at the Parade of Lights from the second floor. And I thought that was really cool to have that history and be like, wow, here's somebody that I know who grew up in this area, and I am sitting in the same place she was when she was a child, watching the same parade. And I just thought that was really unique.
What would you miss in Cortez if it wasn't here?
Wow. If Cortez wasn't here, or if
something about Cortez was no longer here.
The rec center.
Can you tell us why?
Because I play roller derby, and that's where we practice, is at the rec center. It's also a great place to go, and if you can't get out on your bike, or your child needs to get out of the house, it's a great place to go and swim because of the indoor swimming pool, and great place to work out, and great place to, again, meet people.
All right, what about Cortez is important to continue into the future? Just tell us about that.
Wow, okay. Well, Probably the thing that sticks out to me the most is going back to the diversity and what really draws people to this area, and what really drew me to this area is kind of how, I don't want to say withdrawn, but what's the word I'm looking for? Where you're not so plugged into everything. We're really out here, kind of on our own, and that was one of the things that I really liked about here. When we first moved here, we lived out in the county. We lived in our school bus on a friend's property, and there was no like real backlash about that. Nobody came and said, you can't do that. So I was kind of excited about that, and you know, I could certainly understand where building codes and things like that are very important, but there is that sort of ability to just kind of be. And I wouldn't have been able to buy a house here had we not had that opportunity to just live a really simple life and save money so that you could buy a place. Did that answer the question? I don't remember what the question was.
What about Cortez would you change for the future?
The schools.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, you know, my daughter's going to be in 5th grade next year. If I was able to do it, I would homeschool, just because I feel like education has really changed. Well, the world has really changed, and our education system that we implemented over 100 years ago isn't really keeping up with the times and with the kids and with what's happening in the world out there now. So I feel like if we had an education system that would embrace really what our children's future looks like, it's not the Industrial Revolution anymore, that they would probably be a little more prepared for what goes on in their world when they get out there.
Do you have any particulars on what you would actually like to see done for education here?
I think a technological learning center, so some form of a center where not only youth but adults can take classes on the new technology that's coming out. Having the internet and having computers and having technology available maybe to people who can't afford to get it in their own homes. I think that would be a really cool thing to have.
Great. Any last words of wisdom for those watching?
I love Cortez. I think it's a great community. I have no plans of leaving anytime soon, and if I did leave, it would probably just be because I got a better job somewhere else.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That was awesome. Actually great. Like I said, I'm not in the mood today. Yeah. I just if he's gonna be here, I want the film rolling. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I'm recording, so anytime you're ready, go ahead.
You're just getting my head, right?
No,
Oh,
but I can.
okay.
I got you from about here up right
it's
now.
all right.
I'll probably change this out a couple times. Though.
All right.
All right. Can you tell us your name and how you came to live in Cortez or the area?
My name's Susan Thomas, and actually it's interesting how and why I'm in Cortez right now. In 1976, I came to Mesa Verde to be a seasonal ranger,
And 39 years later, I moved to Cortez permanently, and in between, I did not live at Cortez. So something about it way back when obviously impressed me.
So when you came back 39 years later, what was it that brought you here that time?
I'd been living in Charlottesville, Virginia, which is an absolutely great place to live, but I always felt as though life was really going on out here. Even though culturally, demographically, economically, there's tons more going on in a tangible way back there, I felt like the Four Corners was where it was happening for me. So I chose Cortez. I'd lived in Durango for almost 20 years earlier. Oil and gas, some personal life changes kind of drove me out. La Plata County's changed a lot with energy development. So Cortez represented a bit of a refuge and was more affordable, but also was a work in progress. Whereas Durango and La Plata County have a more mature personality and character, and so if you're somebody who likes to get involved and kind of get in the trenches and be a part of things, this is more inviting. At least it is for me.
Now you mentioned that Cortez was kind of a refuge for you. Can you elaborate on that?
It's quieter. It's not undergoing an onslaught of development. Obviously there's growth going on, there's development going on, but it's not a barrage like other places I've lived. When I lived in Charlottesville, we ended up on the in Money Magazine's #1 place to live in the country, and all the planners, I was a planner, were just in despair. But that's not happening in Cortez. And I also came here with the idea that I would get along with people who weren't like me, as opposed to trying to convert them to thinking just the way I think. And I've enjoyed that. Sometimes it's frustrating, but overall I really like it.
I want to know if you feel attached to Cortez, and if so, what is it about Cortez that makes you feel connected to the community?
The geography is a big one. For me, it feels like I'm right in the middle of all the things I want to have access to. I don't feel like I'm in a remote outpost at all. I feel like I'm kind of in the belly button of the Four Corners, so to speak. So I like that. As I get older, I like the fact that active empty nesters, which I'd like to be, but I'm not yet, who've been a lot of places, have chosen this place as a good place to, I don't want to say end up or finish out their time, but it's a very deliberate choice. I like mountains, and we have some rivers, and that's interesting. The reservoirs are interesting. I think most of all, it's probably the cultural side of things. You know, the Four Corners for me is really a cultural continuum from archaic to very contemporary. And I didn't get that feeling. I mean, in Virginia, there's an awful lot of history, and I love the the physical infrastructure of it, Monticello, University of Virginia, a lot of World Heritage sites. But I didn't get that feeling of a big bridge to way, way back. It was all much more recent history and European history, not really native history.
Can you tell me something about Cortez, or something in Cortez that if it was no longer here you would miss, and why?
I think there's a resourceful quality to the people who live here. It's not a tangible object, but I always think about it. For instance, people here are very aware of making whatever economical gains they can, cutting expenses, adding yet another, job, something like that. But for instance, if they decide they can heat their domestic hot water with solar, they're probably going to put those panels on as opposed to automatically hiring a consultant. It's still a very do-it-yourself place, which I like a lot. Having lived in other college towns in particular, you shell out the money and you get the guy that knows what to do, and then you can call yourself green, but you didn't really try to do it yourself. So this is a very original place in that way.
What about Cortez is important to continue into the future?
I read the newspaper yesterday, and it sounds like some of the farmers are really maybe going to make some money supplying some food to the schools. I would love to see an economy that is balanced better in that way. I think it's possible. I don't know if it'll happen. It's easy to talk about farm to school, but a little harder to do. But if people can make a little money doing that, you know, I think they've been growing food for a long time. I'd love to see them make a living doing that.
Now, if you could change one thing about Cortez for the future, what would that be?
I think I would like people have themselves fairly boxed in philosophically. I think it's working against them. And it'd be nice if they were a little more appreciative about some of the assets we've been given that really need to be protected, because not everybody gets those. So that would mean stepping out of the box and being a little more open.
Are there any last nuggets of wisdom that you'd just like to share on this interview, maybe out to the community?
I think it's easy to get defensive in the kind of world we live in, where things seem more and more removed from our scale, our level. But I think the communities that are able to avoid that can really prosper. So I guess I would like to see people being a little more confident, a little more relaxed, and not as reactive to what they perceive as bad things going on in Washington. I think they expend a lot of energy worrying about the wrong things sometimes.
Great. And last of all, do you love living here?
I do. I love living here, yeah.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great, thanks.
Oh, goodness. How did that stereo affect things?
I can do
Okay.
that.
My guess is it's between songs, but that's fine. It'll be all right. You're gonna run into this the whole time you're doing this. Okay,
Appreciate your.
she's fine.
So you got her name and all that good fun stuff?
You might want to do that again, because I think I was just having her to do that so I could check the mics. Okay, anytime you're ready.
Can you tell us your name, please?
I'm Maggie Curtis.
And are you a resident of Cortez?
I am. I live Cortez.
You can look at me.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Ignore
Thank
the
you.
camera. Ignore him.
Okay, I'm right here. Got it. I'm Maggie Curtis.
Yes. Hi, Maggie. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
So
too.
how did you come to live in Cortez?
Well, my grandparents moved here when I was like 3 or 4. They actually moved to Dolores, and so we've been vacationing here for about 10 years. And my parents really liked the area, so they decided they wanted to retire here. And so when a job opened up that my dad was qualified for, he applied and got the job, and we came here about 4 years ago.
Nice. Do you and or your family, do you guys have an attachment to Cortez? Do you feel like attached to it?
I do. I personally, I know, I don't want to speak for my family, although I'm sure they have an attachment. They want to be here, but I really do. I didn't like it. I think the first 2 years I was here, I really, really disliked it here. But I don't know, I kind of love it now. I'm not sure why. I think the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So over the years, have you found a connection to the community?
I've definitely found a connection. I think actually what changed is when I joined Youth Leadership Council. I started just like getting to know different people in my community, and I just made a lot more connections, and it was interesting just meeting the different people, because we have a really diverse group here. And so once I found out all these other people, why they loved it and why they're here, it made me appreciate it more and realize that this is actually a cool place, not just somewhere my parents made me go.
Thank you. Tell us something about Cortez, maybe something that happened to you or something that happens here on a regular basis that reflects what is great or what you love about the community.
Well, it's summertime, so I think a farmer's market. My mom and I go farmer's market every Saturday morning, and it's just nice because we never actually buy things there because we're always like going out of town or just went to the grocery store. We never plan it right, but it's nice just to see a bunch of different people and just to chat, and it's a great way to start the weekend, and I like the community feel about it.
What would you miss about Cortez if that something wasn't here?
So if the farmers market wasn't here, I think I'd miss just the central gathering point. Because although there are places where it seems like a lot of people go, I think the farmers market is a great place where a lot of people just tend to go. It's nice to see people every week.
Nice. Is there anything else in Cortez that has that sort of, that stands out to you in that way, that if it wasn't here anymore?
That I think the rec center. Yeah, I don't always like to hang out at the rec center myself because it makes me think of swim season and practice, and then I just like get really sore. But I think the rec center is huge here, and it is a great place, and everyone seems to go there. I think we'd really be lacking without it.
Okay. And what about Cortez is important to continue into the future?
I don't want to sound redundant, but I think those like places, the community connections, and I think just realizing that, because Cortez is kind of in this, it is still a small town, but it's a little larger. It's not, you know, Dolores or Minkus. So I think making sure that we keep Cortez together, not so much in a way that we block other people out, but I think it's really important to just connect to each other. Does that make sense? Am I making sense here? Okay.
Yeah. In what way would you see people connecting to each other? Maybe elaborate on that a little bit more.
Okay. I think also one thing, like with connecting, is just communication. I think often we get in our own little tracks of life and we just like do our own business. And I think when people branch out and just realize that maybe this group's doing something that I'd be interested in, so we collaborate and just work together and just make a lot of connections so that the services we offer are really strong for our community. So I think that in a workplace we need to just be connected and collaborate more. I think, although just on a social matter, I think communities are just better when people talk to each other and when people know each other, when they work together. And then we get great things like the 4th of July fireworks, and everyone's here spending their day off. So I think things like that are just better, more fun.
Great, thanks. And what about Cortez, if anything, would you change for the future?
I would change the school system. This is my big thing. I love our teachers, and I think we have great people who are really dedicated to the youth, but I don't think the community, I'm sure the community values education. I don't think often that it's portrayed that way, as bonds can't be passed, so the schools are really poor, and I think the students really pick up on community vibes, and so the students realize how the community feels about education. And so if things like bonds, I'm just going to go back to that one, can't be passed, I think then the students realize like people aren't caring, or I'm going to wait for this to pass. I'm not sure if that's going to affect it, but so things like that.
You don't often hear a low flying jet here.
Oh, we're right underneath of the landing, the flight path. You want to start that one over again?
Yeah, probably.
Yes.
Take two.
Once again.
What would you change?
Yes. Let me get back on. I got distracted. Our one of 2 flights a day. Yeah, of course, that's me now. I think just the community needs to show more appreciation for education and show a value for education, because it is very important. And I think that the youth really feed off of that, and kids aren't stupid. Kids know how their parents feel. They know how the grandparents feel. They know how the people at the park are talking, you know. So I really think we need to be sending good messages about education, and like kids know it's important and they need to take it seriously. And it's actually a huge gift, the fact that we can go to school and get this free education, and we have great teachers, and if we just like tap into their knowledge, we can get so much. So I think we just need to value education.
Do you have any last thoughts or anything else you'd like to share?
I'll probably have something a little bit, but right now I think it's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good.
Hey.
You
There,
should
now you're recording.
Now you're recording.
Okay.
So you'll need to zoom in on me again and place me where you want me.
Pretty handsome subject there. Okay.
Does it feel interesting to be on the other side of things?
It's been a while. I'm usually on that side. Always have been.
So if you could just give us your name. And
My name is Bill Beasley.
Okay. Thanks for taking time, Bill, to do an interview with
Sure.
us. Yeah. And how did you come to live in Cortez?
I lived in New Orleans, and I was looking. I had a great job, but I was doing big time TV, Super Bowls and all kinds of stuff. So I realized that was not going to be good for me as I got into my 40s and 50s. So I looked for something to do in a small town, and so bought a radio station. Bought KRTZ. We bought KRTZ in 1985 and ran it for about 10 years. And so that's how I came here.
And excuse me. Do we try to go over that, or he's going to come
He's
through
moving.
here?
So if you'll hit that button here, the one on the side, this one right here, yeah. And if
Okay, so,
okay.
Did you have anything else you needed to add to that, the rest of that
No,
story?
not at all.
Okay. Do you feel attached to Cortez, and what is it about Cortez that makes you feel connected to the community?
I like the size of the community. It's a manageable size. I'd always lived in very large cities. So coming to a small town was a real revelation to me. Took a little getting used to, but I like the smallness, I like the interconnectedness, I like the sense of community. And I love the area. I mean, the area recreation-wise is unparalleled.
What are some things you love about the area?
Well, we're an hour and a half away from great desert, all sorts of recreational opportunities there. Camping, hiking, climbing, anything you want to do. Same thing with the mountains. Summertime, there's camping, hiking, climbing, and wintertime skiing, and snowshoeing, and all kinds of other recreational sports.
Great. Tell us something about Cortez, something that may have happened to you, or something that happens on a regular basis, that reflects what's great about Cortez, or what it is that you love about the community.
I've heard other people say the diversity. I think when I first moved here, there were more locals, more people who were born and raised, if not here, than in the area. Over the years, more people have begun moving in here. Some perhaps would have moved to La Plata County 20 years ago and found it now too expensive, but people of all sorts of backgrounds, all sorts of educational backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, and philosophical backgrounds. So I find that fascinating that you can run into people of all sorts of persuasions.
If there was something that was to leave Cortez, or that would not be here anymore, and you would miss it, what would it be?
The park system. And I think the park system, the recreational system here is just remarkable for a town this size, or even one much larger. So I would say the parks and the recreational activities.
And what about Cortez is important to continue into the future?
Good question. Again, I would say the park system, the recreational opportunities for particularly families and kids to get together.
Okay. And what would you change about
The
Cortez?
same thing everybody else does in schools.
And what is that?
It's not just the schools. I see that there's, when I had children living with me, it was not challenging enough, but part of that was because the kids who came to school weren't challenged at home. They did not get the support and the encouragement in their homes that made them value school enough to do their homework. And so the schools, they don't really serve the people who aren't doing well in school, and they certainly don't. It's harder for kids who do want to succeed. They have to work a little harder because of the surroundings. That's what I would say. That's my observation.
Okay.
Bill, when you leave Cortez for a trip or a vacation and you come home, what is it that you look forward to about coming
The
home?
climate's one thing I look forward to. And the less hustle and bustle. Less hustle and bustle. I really like that.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's a great question we need to ask.
We're rolling.
We're rolling. All right. So if you could just tell us your name and how old you are.
I am Veronica and I am 10 years old.
You're 10. Awesome, Veronica. Well, thanks for coming and doing an interview with us today.
You're welcome.
I would like to just ask you, I know that you were born here in Cortez and you left, but now you're thinking about coming back, and if you could just reflect a little bit about what it was like for you living here and thinking about coming back here, if you could tell us a little bit about what you like about Cortez.
Okay. I like all the farms close to Cortez, and I also like that it's like really, really close to like deserts and things to do outdoors. I also like that it's in Colorado. I really like Colorado. And my mom died, and I like to visit her grave, which is really close to Cortez.
Great. Not great, it's that, but thank you for sharing that. Do you feel connected to Cortez?
Yeah.
In what way do you feel connected?
I feel connected. I was born here, and like I never really wanted to move, but we would be closer to family, so I moved.
So you have family here?
I have family in Boulder.
Oh, okay. You have family in Boulder.
So you said you never really wanted to move away from here?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
Why?
Because I just really like it here.
Yeah. Is there anything that you can name that really stands out for you that you like?
No, not really. Everything.
You met Veronica. You mentioned the farms. Why are farms important to you?
I just really like them. I have a farm out in Lewis, so it's like, yeah, like, and I really like animals. It's a good place to see animals.
Can you think of anything, can you name something or reflect on something that happens here in Cortez on a regular basis that makes you feel really good about the community?
Well, there's always really fun things to do.
Like?
I don't know. A bunch of things.
Where did you just come from?
A pool.
Yeah.
Is that one of the fun things to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe, where are we now?
The park.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
the park's fun too.
So if there was something here in Cortez that wasn't here anymore and you would miss it, what would that be?
I think it would probably be all the trees.
All the
There's
trees.
so many trees in Cortez.
Great.
Veronica, when you are away from Cortez and you're thinking about coming back, like you know you're going to come back, what do you look forward to about coming back?
I look forward to like